American Guitar Academy Music Lessons. AGA is where you learn to play.
Now let's discover the next music concept. How many different notes are in each key? There are 7 different notes in each key. So go ahead and picture again the 3 fishing areas: major, minor, and rock and blues. So now go ahead and picture the 12 ponds in each of the 3 fishing areas. So there are 12 major keys, 12 minor keys, and 12 rock and blues keys. So now back to our songwriter getting ready to write a new song. And picture them now standing over one of the keys, getting ready to begin fishing for the notes and chords for their song. So the songwriter looks in the pond, and what do they see? The songwriter sees 7 fishtails swimming in the pond. The 7 fishtails represent the 7 different notes in each key. So remember, all the keys work exactly the same. So go ahead and picture 7 fishtails in all 12 major keys, 7 fishtails in all 12 minor keys, and 7 fishtails in all 12 rock or blues keys. The 7 fishtails in each of the major keys make up what's called the major scales. The 7 fishtails that are in all the 12 minor keys make up what are called the minor scales. In the rock or blues keys, 2 of the fishtails are taken out to leave a 5-note scale called the minor pentatonic scales. We're going to be an expert at all 3 of these scales as we keep progressing in your music lessons. A major scale sounds like this. A minor scale sounds like this. And a minor pentatonic scale sounds like this. One way to get really good at memorizing the different notes in each scale is to memorize what's called their solfege names. Solfege names are simple one-syllable names given to each note. In the major scale, the names are do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and then back to do. Here's what it sounds like with the solfege names along with the major scale. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. You remember that each key is given a letter name that represents the starting note of that key. So if the songwriter is looking in the major key fishing area at the key of C major, the very first fishtail or note is the C note. The C note begins the C major scale, and to find the other notes in the scale, you simply keep moving through the musical alphabet, starting from C. So C is the first note, D would be the second note, E would be the third, F, and then G, and then the musical alphabet starts back over at A again, so A would be the 6th note, and B would be the 7th note. When you see your scales written down, they'll be on what's called a musical staff that has 5 lines and 4 spaces. The scale, again, will start from the beginning note of the key, and then there will be a note on each line and each space above that for a total of 7 notes. Depending on which key it is, the number of sharps and flats in the key, if there are any, will be written at the beginning of the piece of music. This is called the key signature. And the key signature is simply there to tell you what key you're in. So back to our songwriter, looking in the pond in the major key fishing area, seeing 7 fishtails, he or she can now begin fishing for the notes for the melody for their song by choosing from these 7 notes. The songwriter knows that if they choose the notes for their melody from only one pond, all of those notes will sound good and work together. So how many different notes are in each key? There are 7 different notes in each key. One more time, how many different notes are in each key? There are 7 different notes in each key. Here's an optional bonus question. What are the names of the scales that are given to the 7 notes in each type of key? In the major keys, these 7 notes are called the major scales. In the minor keys, these 7 notes are called the minor scales. And in the rock or blues keys, only 5 of the notes are used and are called the minor pentatonic scales. One more time, what are the names of the scales that are given to the 7 notes in each type of key? Again, in the major keys, these 7 notes are called the major scales. In the minor keys, these 7 notes are called the minor scales. And in the rock or blues keys, only 5 of the notes are used and are called the minor pentatonic scales.
Now let's take the short music concept quiz, and then we'll review all the music concepts you've learned so far.